Okay, love and relationships. Aww. Nah, I'm kidding. Um, yeah, it's another really good area to get into. If you like or you love um, all things emotional and lovey-dovey and relationship related, this niche is right up your alley. So I know a lot of people who don't really do well with health and wellness, and they find BizOp a little bit too scammy for their liking. So love and relationships really is their cup of tea because it's really human and really real. I mean, everyone, or many people, I should say, have been through a rough breakup, and they've experienced that profile of emotions, the up and down, the indecision, the crawling in the stomach, the butterflies in the stomach, feeling like you're 10 feet tall, after they say yes, that sort of thing. All these things are so real and so, I guess it's really easy to empathize with people because you might have been there yourself. So it's no surprise, for example, if you look at some of the biggest, um, singers nowadays, like if you look at Taylor Swift, or if you look at Adele, for example, they've turned a lot of their heartbreak into great success as singers. So people have no choice but to empathize with people who can relate to how you feel. So if you're able to talk about that and write about that in a way that people can relate to, then easy money. People will love you to write for them, and yeah, it's a great way to get your foot in the door and to work your way up the ranks as a copywriter. So let's look at how easing the ache in your heart can turn into something which can be very profitable for you as a copywriter. So it's an industry that's very emotionally charged. You might not think of it as an industry or a niche that has a lot of money going in and out of it, but I assure you there is. There is a lot. And there are entire industries built upon this niche. Marriage is huge. I was just chatting with a mate this evening, and he was saying after doing the numbers, he's getting married later in the year. It's looking like it's adding up to maybe around $75,000 for his wedding, which I mean, it might be a lot, it might be less. I don't know. What's the norm, but I think in general that's considered a lot of money. At the other end of the spectrum, divorces, also a lot of money. Prenups, divorce attorneys or lawyers, it's also very expensive. Dating, dating tips, dating techniques, confidence, public speaking, everything like that. It's all really, profitable if you can have a service or something related to that which can solve a real problem. Well, yeah, one thing I forgot to add was, say, dating sites, where you have these people who are catered towards who you are and I guess what your interests are. For example, there are general dating sites, but I've also seen dating sites that are catered towards people who consider themselves elite, like earning 6 figures a year. They've got a house, they've got maybe 3 cars, etc., etc. Then they've got dating for geeks. I've seen that as well, which is sort of interesting. But again, all this stuff does exist because there's a market for that. And it's a really fascinating insight into people and human psychology and what makes people tick. And I think it's a really interesting way to make some good money, I guess, if you can develop your skills as a copywriter in this area. So let's look at what are some examples, or I should say an example. So get your ex back. Huge market. It's something that this market is actually one that became really huge about 6 or 7 years ago. There was a guy, I think, called Travis Sago, Sago, and he just bought the rights to this product, which promoted, I think it was an ebook, where he could help people get back with their ex. And I mean, I just did a search for it earlier and I found this, and it's still going. You know, there's techniques and ways that people are trying to get their ex back, and here is, you know, 3 toxic texts you should never send to your ex. So as a writer, you definitely would write this ebook with a special report, and you might even write the promotional copy for it. So the email content here, the warning, all this sort of stuff, you know, you'd be responsible for writing. So very legitimate. Obviously the knowledge will be provided by the expert, in this case Michael Fiore. They may also ask you to do research yourself, which they should pay you for, but yeah, definitely all this sort of stuff all this sort of information should come from a reputable source. Now again, dominant emotions. So with such an emotional an emotion-focused market, it's really important to understand the emotions involved. And again, fear is a huge one in this market. You know, there's so many insecurities, so many fears people have relating to emotions and relationships that it's not funny. I mean, it's everyone's thinking about something right now, and I mean, maybe the severity isn't that high right now, but it can become big, you know, if you leave it too long, for example. You know, he's gonna leave me. Huge fear for some people who, you know, get really paranoid about that sort of thing. Again, I can't get him or her back. How do I get him or her back? I think what's more unique to women, you know, I'm not going to get married before I turn 40. I know that, for example, that's really big in Asian markets. I don't even think it's 40. I think it's actually about 25, like in Japan or in China, for example. You know, you got to be married by a certain age because just culturally what they're used to. Greed, again, not so much. Could be, you know, I want all eyes on me, everyone to love me. You know, I'm this person who must have all this attention. You know, how can I be the alpha dog? So I think that's one possible angle you could go with, but yeah, fear is definitely the way to go. Pros and cons. Now, not trying to be sexist here or anything, but from my experience and understanding, I believe more women on average excel at this particular area of copywriting, just because it seems like women can be more emotionally engaged than men. You know, a lot of men appear to be more logically focused. So sometimes women will only empathize with women, and that means that being able to write in a way which engages with them can be really helpful. With emotional copywriting, it doesn't require a high level of language. You know, there's no really huge words to learn. There's nothing technical about it. It's just heart to heart. You know, you write how you talk, and then the emotion comes out of the sincerity of your words. And of course, just like with any other market and niche, you learn to have better relationships with people that you care about yourself. You have more information, more detail, and that gives you a better idea of what you might be doing wrong. If you feel neglected, or if someone feels neglected in your life, it gives you the keys, for example, to identify what could be happening. Now, the cons. With a lot of emotion comes big egos. So you could be dealing with customers who have big egos and are insecure, and if you can't handle that and you just want to work with people who are more mature and more secure, I guess, then maybe this market isn't for you. But every market has their pros and cons. So this is one that's part of this market. Yeah, it's how it is. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope to see you in the next ones. And again, if you have any other questions at all, don't hesitate to write it in the discussion section at the end of this lecture. Thanks again, and hope to see you in the following lectures.